August 2022, near the village of Pi close to Big Ocean, northern Poland. A team of archaeologists from Nicolaus Copernicus University in Toru had been digging at an old, long-abandoned cemetery for years. The site had been in use from the 10th century all the way to the 17th, and by this point they'd already found dozens of ordinary graves. Nothing unusual. Then a shovel hit something that made the whole team stop cold. The skeleton of a young woman was lying on her back, just like any normal burial, but across her neck, curved like a blade, was an actual iron sickle, the same tool people used back then to harvest wheat. And it wasn't placed randomly, it was positioned so precisely that if the body ever tried to sit up, the blade would cut straight through her throat. Down at her feet, on the big toe of her left foot, there was a small triangular padlock, closed shut. Not jewelry, not something that just rolled in by accident. Someone had deliberately locked it onto a dead woman's toe, so that her foot, and with it, her whole body, would stay pinned to the ground. Professor Dariusz Poliski, who led the dig, later told reporters the discovery left him speechless. Pure astonishment, in his words, even though he'd studied cases like this for his entire career. Then came the science. Anthropologists put her age at somewhere between 17 and 21. She had a noticeably protruding front tooth, the kind of feature that, in a small 17th century village, almost certainly would not have gone unnoticed. And yet she was buried wearing a high-quality silk cap, silk that an ordinary peasant woman simply wouldn't have had access to. So in life, she clearly wasn't at the bottom of the social ladder. And still, her community buried her like they were afraid of her, even dead. DNA and isotope analysis added another twist. Based on the chemical signature in her bones, she likely wasn't even born in the region. She may have come from somewhere in Scandinavia. In other words, she was probably an outsider. Poliski was careful to point out what she wasn't. She hadn't been executed, and she hadn't been convicted as a witch. People in those categories were usually buried very differently, tossed into a hastily dug pit near a gallows. Zosia's burial, by contrast, was done properly and with care. The sickle and the padlock were added on top of that. His theory, something had happened to her in life, some tragedy, illness, or strange death, that made her neighbors genuinely afraid she'd come back from the grave, either for revenge or to take someone with her. The sickle and padlock ritual was already known from Polish folklore, but finding both objects together in the same grave was something archaeologists had never documented before in Poland. The story didn't end there. 2 years later, in 2024, Swedish forensic reconstruction artist Oskar Nilsson took her skull and DNA data and rebuilt her face, clay, layer by layer, then 3D printing. Locals who followed the dig gave her a name, Zosia. And now, looking at the reconstructed face of a young woman with that slightly protruding tooth, it's hard not to sit with one simple fact. 400 years ago, she had a real name, a real life, and, by all appearances, some real tragedy behind her. And her neighbors were frightened enough by it that they made sure to protect themselves, even after she was gone. Today, Zosia isn't just a skeleton in a textbook. She has a face, eyes, features you can actually look at. And that face doesn't look like a monster. It looks like an ordinary young woman who simply had bad luck, first in life and then again, when her own neighbors decided that even in death, she couldn't be trusted.